Welcome to the Airmoonheiress channel. Ready for today's reading? We have 3 piles: the Wildwood Tarot with the Smokey Quartz heart, the Crow Tarot with the Hematite, and the Waite Tarot with the Apophyllite. We could hold this up so you might be able to see a bit better. Okay, so timestamps will be in the description box. You're welcome to do a quick meditation to help you choose which pile. You can just pause the video to do that. And with that being said, we'll start with group 1. So the Smokey Quartz, for me, is really grounding, quite protective. This Smokey Quartz in particular seems to have a lot going on inside. A lot of Smokey Quartz I've seen is usually like quite clear inside. Maybe they're just higher grade pieces. But this has quite a few little reflective, fractured parts. I do have to say today I don't feel as grounded as what I normally do. So, you know, whether that's the energy that I'm tapping into, your energy, or whether it's just myself, we'll see if it's something like relative to the reading. Seeing a spirit gives us something. Okay, so the cards that we've pulled, we have the Page of Vessels, which is represented by an otter, the Knight of Vessels, represented by an eel, and the King of Stones, represented by the wolf. So I'm just going to take a moment to see if I can get anything extra for these cards to come through. It's probably like a good time to have a look at the cards and see if there's anything that stands out to you while I do so. Okay, so the first message that I'm getting for the row of cards together is it's something about the archetypal self. It's like the archetype that you hold for yourself in your mind. So this has nothing to do with anybody else's thoughts. It's not what other people think of you, and it's not what you think of other people. It's what you think of you. So I'll just see if we can get anything to extend on that. So the first thing I'm getting is with the otter, the Page of Vessels, that the otter is magical and mystical, and they just don't know that. Sometimes you just need to dig deeper to find what awaits you. Everything will come in its due time. Course of action will be needed, will need to be taken. For the wolf, I'm just getting like a heap of howling, as if it was a group of wolves howling. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's see what else we can pull from these cards. Okay, so again, another message coming through for the otter. She is taking her time graciously until she sees an opportunity coming through. A bit of a weird one. The white near her ears, as in the color white near her ears, is only as white as she allows it to be. So, I mean, just take what resonates. I wouldn't try to make anything fit there. It might only be for a specific, like, small group of people. They're saying it's for everybody, so there might be, like, a very specific way that you interpret that that's unique to you. Like, it's not for me to know or to tell. It's just for you to know. I'm getting something for the Knight of Vessels, the eel. Something about a ripple effect. So it's like everywhere you go, you leave a ripple effect. I don't know if it's bringing it to your attention, like making you aware of it or consciously aware of it. But just because you are one person doesn't mean that you don't affect or impact every person you come into contact with in your life. I get the feeling of like maybe you feel like you are, or maybe you feel like you could be represented by a leaf just blowing in the wind. And the way I look at that sometimes could be you're aimlessly like floating through life, and I don't know if it's because there's nothing to anchor you down, or if it's maybe like a lack of purpose would be really grounding for you. Sometimes, even though the last thing we need or want, sometimes the last thing that we want or think that we want is responsibility, but really it's what we need, and we don't realize how much we crave it until we get it. And sometimes going with the flow isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Sometimes when we go with the flow, it may look like a lot of things on the outside, or we may try to package it or sell it in a lot of different ways on the outside. Sometimes going with the flow can simply mean that we don't have a lot of our own boundaries, and we can fall into people-pleasing tendencies. And this can mean we are accommodating and we go with everybody else's flow, as opposed to doing what it is that we really want in life. And it makes me think that maybe you don't really know what you want in life, or what it is particularly that you want in life. That being the case, you would need to spend time on your own to really work out what you want, or sometimes it's still quiet time on your own, and sometimes it's, I guess, in a different sense, maybe sometimes it looks like meditation. Sometimes it looks like having a random thought like, oh my God, I've always loved art and I would love to paint. And we always have those thoughts pop up into our mind that say, oh, but I wouldn't be very good at it. Maybe it would just be a waste of money because I'm not going to pursue it. Or maybe we don't allow ourselves that gift of exploring something new because there's no real productive value in it. But the productive value is that you will eventually work out what it is that you want to do. And so it is like highly encouraged. I should also note that with the creative side of things, it can be very, very therapeutic. So if it's at a time in your life where things are chaotic or life has just not been particularly kind to you, it is like highly advised to take some time to do something creative. And it doesn't matter what way you do it, you can't get it wrong. You know, like children do paintings and drawings when they're quite young, and there is no rules and there is no right and wrong, and there is no one thing that's better than another. You need to give yourself that kind of leeway and leave any perfectionism tendencies at the door to allow yourself to fully embrace that experience. I feel called to say opportunity as well. For me, the wolf, even though like typically everything we see, hear, read, not that I've studied wolves deeply or anything, but you know, when you think of wolf, when I think of a wolf, I think of a wolf pack, whether that's like family or community or tribe, whatever that is to you. But then there's also that like, what is it, polarized topic of a lone wolf. And for this, I feel like it is a lone wolf. So maybe it is going on that journey of time on your own before you regroup or come back to the group in reunion. Sometimes I think we don't really know what we're made of until we're made to go it alone, and the universe tests us in a myriad of ways that we're usually unaware of. And even if you are consciously aware of it, it's hard to accept or be mindful of and just go with it. Rather, we meet it with resistance, or we try to control the outcome of things. But I'm seeing here it is just for your own growth and development. It doesn't mean that you're better off without people, but if you're going through a time in life where there aren't many around, this is why. The other thing I could add to this is that sometimes when we're in the pack, because we just go along with the pack, whether it's we're following others' lead or others help us, well, maybe we're not faced with situations we would be on our own. Not only do we not know our own strength, but the rest of the pack doesn't. So maybe people have been underestimating you. And I'm getting the underdog. So maybe there is something here where you're going into this period of like almost a hermitude. Not that this is the hermit card. It's the King of Stones in this deck is like King of Pentacles. So it's the last thing I would connect the two with. But maybe this time on your own is so that you can come back and you can show how strong you are. Not because you want to show off, and not purposely trying to show people that you are strong or anything like that, but when you come back, it will be made known through your presence. Others will be able to see it a mile away. So there's like a lot of growth in this time, and I feel like after this point in life, you will not be underestimated in the ways that you were when you were younger. There will be a deeper level of respect there. Whether it makes things easier or not, I'm not sure yet. That's something that we'll have to see when we get there. Okay, so that's all I'm getting from these cards for the moment. So it's time to pull an oracle card. Just wondering which deck we should use. Okay. So this is the Work Your Light Oracle deck from Rebecca Campbell. This is what we wanted. Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. I'm getting from Spirit that these people are on a string and they are coming from the light. Anything else that you need to know about this will be coming through to you in your visions. Now, if you don't have like visions as in clairvoyancy as per se, I believe everybody does regardless, but it could be coming through in dreams, or you could see like a coincidental, maybe not so coincidental sign in something around you. I'm also getting something about you are 1 in a million, but you're all connected. So it's like recognizing how unique and individual you are, but we are still just one link, or one part of, I guess, one link in the chain, or one part of the fabric of the universe. I'm getting an extra message here for this piece of rhodochrosite, that this would be good for this pile. So my piece is not a super high quality, but if I rotate it, you might be able to see some of the different patterns. It is predominantly like a lighter and darker pink, and it can almost, I don't know what the word is, it can almost have like a lacy edge to it. I'm sure you'll find better pictures if you Google it. Okay, so that's everything that I'm getting for this pile. Thank you for your time. Of course, if this message didn't resonate for you, maybe go back to the start, to the introduction, to select another pile and see if you get something that resonates there. But again, don't make it fit for you if it doesn't seem to make sense. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video. So for group 2, we had the Hematite heart. Typically the Hematite has more of a silvery, chromy, greyish type of finish, maybe even metal looking. My Hematite has been quite weathered and almost ends up with a rust type look to it, but it is still really solid and strong. So if there is a message in that for you, for yourself, please take it if you feel. Straight away getting a message that for some people, this reading may not make a lot of sense, and it's because of the vibration that you're currently in. May need to change before this reading will resonate for you. So if that is the case, at the end of the reading or partway through, you really feel like this is not for you, maybe come back to this video in a few days or a week's time and try selecting another pile and see if you do get the same pile, if this time round it makes sense to you. So the cards that we have pulled, we have the Page of Swords, we have the Five of Cups, we have the King of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. For the Page of Swords, I'm getting a message, something about there is an undercurrent of a message here from Spirit that you're not receiving. I guess that sort of marries into the vibration and maybe not resonating straight away, but we'll see what else we get. The message, there is gold coming in and you just don't see it yet. When it rains, it pours. When the clouds part, the sun will come out. Anything that you have lost was only making room for the things that you have gained. Even if it feels like a permanent shortcoming or like you've been left with a lot of damage that's irreparable, the new things coming in will make up for what has been lost. Maybe not in the same area of life, but there would be more abundance in other areas. Something about be careful when carrying this load, that you don't hurt yourself by carrying this load. I'm getting a message here for the Five of Cups, something about you can play dead all you want, but in the end they'll still know. Sometimes it's hard to see the forest from the trees, or the trees from the forest, however that's said. I feel like whether it's your energy now or something that would be good for you is if you could just let out like a big sigh, like if you could let go of something that's really been upsetting you or bothering you, like if you just realize that maybe it is out of your control and you were able to let it go, you would just sigh, and it would be disappointing, but you realize that there's nothing else that you can do about this situation. You've already made the best of it and you still have some good things left over from it. The things that have been lost, of course, is never great, losing anything. Like, it just makes me think of grief. So how deep this grief goes, I'm not sure of. Whether what that grief looks like for you, it doesn't have to just be because you've lost a person in your life. It could be the loss of like a job or a sense of purpose or some people, or, you know, the list goes on, a pet, anything. What it is that you see that you've lost. I do feel really disappointed by this though. Like, that's the energy I'm picking up from this card. So it is obviously, it's acknowledging where you're at and that it is disappointing, but you do still have some good things that haven't been lost yet, and it's time to let go, or time to accept and let go. When you do let go, your life will be fruitful. Just everywhere I look in this picture, this card, the King of Pentacles, all I see is abundance and prosperity. There are like apples everywhere, and if there are no apples anywhere, there is a tree that will grow the apples for you. But this is with diligent work. I do have to say, I wonder, with this being as good a time as it is, when it does come in, that I wonder if it would be hard to resist having such a good time that we can maybe blunder some of our abundance. We really want to maintain a balance between our, our abundance and our good times in our work. It doesn't mean that you can't ever have good times, but this feels like a blowout that never ends until maybe there is nothing else. But there could be something to be gained here. This is, of course, not encouraging any irresponsible behavior, but rather the fact that maybe you have been so tightly wound, or you have experienced a journey that hasn't allowed for a lot of fun. So when this happens, you'll be coming into a time where you're allowed more fun in your life. Whether it's because of abundance or prosperity, or simply you giving yourself more leeway. Or the only other message I feel for this card is that, when we're having so much fun, you just need to make sure that your crown still stays level. Don't lose your crown is the message. So for the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like this butterfly on top of this staff is significant. The color of this butterfly is an orange. With the orange, it typically can represent our sacral chakra, being like creativity and emotional expression. In this case, I feel like the caterpillar has transformed into the butterfly, and that butterfly is that emotional expression that you have let free, or it has bloomed at this stage. They're pointing out that the tips of the butterfly's wings, there is like a little white patch there. And I'm hearing, so it's not all doom and gloom. So maybe the emotional expression hasn't really happened for this stage of your life, and now it will, and you're learning how. And I do have to say that my own experience with learning, to begin expressing ourselves emotionally. Maybe we weren't able to for whatever reason in our past or growing up or as children, or we carried it through to adulthood. Maybe something happened in adulthood that set us back, and we felt like we weren't able to for whatever reason. But it's like a message to not be too hard on yourself. So sometimes when we're learning how to express ourselves, we're not going to hit target straight on every time. So maybe the emotional expression is here. This is what we want to achieve from whatever the situation or scenario looks like, with whatever you wish to express to whoever. But think of it like a target. And when we're aiming for that target, if we've never shot a bow before, we're not going to hit the target straight away. So, maybe the first time we shoot over here, and maybe the second time we shoot over here, and we sort of, initially, it can feel quite awkward because we're not used to it, and we look like we're fluctuating from one extreme to the other, where maybe sometimes we come off too hard, and maybe sometimes we're not hard enough where we feel like we could have stood up for ourselves more, but then maybe here we've overstepped a line where maybe we snapped at somebody, whatever that looks like. But with time and being mindful and, keeping accountable, but, being kind to yourself, so you allow yourself to continue this expression, you will slowly narrow in on your target to where you do hit the bullseye. So that was mostly a message of, I guess, having self-compassion and continuing to allow yourself to do it. Don't be so disheartened if it doesn't work out. We all learn, not even just at different paces or at different stages in life for different things, but everything that we do, we have to start somewhere, whether that's riding a bike. Like, everyone had to learn how to do it. No one just got on the bike and just knew how to do it. So, take that for what you will. I do feel drawn to what appears to me as like a moon in this card. And it's almost like, I get the sense of like a fire or ignition around the moon. And it's making me think of being intuitively connected and guided. And if you're grounded, it would be like a beautiful coupling to be so intuitive, because you're able to come from a place of balance and understanding. I'm getting a message of, if you are the earth sign, do not underestimate yourself. If you're not particularly an earth sign, or if you don't have a lot of earth in your chart, it might just be representing that you are quite grounded regardless of the rest of your signs at this stage. And sometimes that can happen when maybe something hasn't worked out for us. We can come to a place where we are particularly more grounded than we have been in the past. This Page of Swords, to me, it's like almost kind of hazy, and like it reminds me of just, I don't know, this bird looks like it's flying in a storm. So, this is a lot easier to maintain comfortably than what this is. I feel like when you get to this place of the Queen of Pentacles in your life, it will be really easy to maintain this energy for you. I'm also getting something else that maybe sometimes for us, we're not quite comfortable with, like whether it's because we have some sort of limiting self-belief, where we don't think we're quite worthy of so much good stuff. So we somehow unconsciously or subconsciously self-sabotage ourselves because it's too much, or we think we don't deserve it, or we wonder what others will say, or we underestimate our own abilities to be able to keep up with something. So we self-sabotage ourselves. We wind up with less, but this is what we believe we are capable of and deserve. You know, the Queen of Pentacles is not a bad place to be, but maybe you could have or could maintain the King of Pentacles if you chose to do so. But I feel like at this stage it would take a little bit of inner work, which should be quite easy coming from this place where you're quite grounded. You know, much easier than anything has been before this point. There's something about the roses here. It's something else, like some sort of other message about other things coming to fruition again. So I do wonder if this is not a position that you have manifested, that maybe things will come to you a lot more easily than they have before in this stage, which kind of, that makes sense for me with everything else that's been said so far. Okay, so I feel like that's all I can get from the tarot cards. So we're going to look for an oracle deck. Okay, so this oracle deck is the Magical Spirit Oracle by Alexis. I don't know how to pronounce the surname, like Rathon or Rathon, I'm not sure. Being guided not to take these, that's okay. That's fallen out. There we go. Alright, so what we're gonna do, let's go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright. I don't know if like you're a person that likes things in order. So the first card that I've got is number 22. The meaning is in the middle. Memento mori. Life, presence, and death. Or depth. This to me just seems to come across as like a message for having or being nuanced. The next card is number 11, the sun. It will come. Manifestation, power. Something else here I can't see. $11, okay. Then we have number 21, do not be ashamed, not of your thorns or your flowers, blessings and curses, psyche, self-love, beauty. The last card, number 42, you can let go now, surrender to what is, acceptance, letting go, water, non-resistance. To me, it sort of makes sense for the accepting, you know, that stage that you were at with grief or losing something. Yeah. Okay, take from it what you will, guys. Don't make anything fit. Hopefully it resonated for you and you got something out of this reading. I've got nothing else I can bring to the table for this group. So I'll love you and leave you all. Hopefully enjoy it, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you. That's the 3. Welcome group 3 to your reading today. We're using the Waite tarot for this group. The first 3 cards that I pull, we have the Devil, Page of Swords, and Judgment. So I'm just going to take a bit of time and see if I can get any messages to come through. Well, I'm being called to mention the Apophyllite before we get started with the cards. So, to me, it's a crystal that's like really great for working with your crown chakra, where it can almost be a little bit grounding as well as invoking. Whenever I look at it, I just always think it's like super sparkly and super clean. So, and it is like quite high vibe to me. There's a lot more about it that you could find online or, you know, talking to different people, but that's what I feel is important for you right now. So we'll start with the Devil card. I'm getting something about the music. Okay, I'm not really sure. It's not coming through quite clear, but it's something about the music in the middle. There's some sort of saying that's trying to come out and it's just not coming through quite clear enough. Like my human mind wants to say like the meat in the middle, as in like being in between a hard place. There's something else there, but we'll leave that. I'll see if I can get anything else to come through for it, and hopefully something else will connect to it, or we'll get whatever that message is to come back through in a little bit. So I'm getting a message of everything he does with his eyes open. And I'm getting a message where he may look like he's really complacent, but don't let that fool you. He is always aware. Something about the wings aren't what they seem. And he knows things that you don't know. Then I'm also getting the message to let it go. I do feel like it would be hard to let anything go. Whatever this card is representing for you in your life, I feel like whatever it is, it would be hard to let go. And it can be packaged to look like it's not that bad, but in reality, whatever it is, no matter how many good things there are about it, at the end of the day, it's just simply still not good for you and you will end up burnt. I should just say, like, as a quick disclaimer, guys, don't take anything that doesn't resonate. Don't try to make it fit. I typically don't have stuff come through in regarding like future or anything like that. Not that I feel like this is future stuff, but if this is some sort of situation in your life, don't make any drastic decisions like based on a tarot reading from a person on the internet. You have your own like sovereign, discretion and responsibility for your own decisions. So if it's something that you feel this, like it is actually the case and you've been wondering for a while what you should do, maybe it's just calling you to pay attention to it. But I'll see if what else we get come through for it. The next part, pretty weird again, is that his claws are hanging over the edge here and that he is ready for you. It's basically a message that whatever it is not nice. If this is a person, like, whether it's a person or a situation, whatever this is, it's nasty, and I just wouldn't. I typically don't, when I look at like tarot and oracle, I don't really see any particular cards as like good or bad. It can be quite nuanced with the messages that come through or what I'm picking up. Even if I'm not getting any channeled messages, which this has been channeled so far, even if I'm just like reading the card as if it is plain tarot and there's no extra information come through, I still don't always typically see the devil card as a bad card. But for this particular group, in this particular reading right now, it's not good. It's whatever the energy is here, it's not good, and I would try to get away from it or keep it away. I feel like Spirit really wants me to like drive this message home about just how bad it is. I am getting the message of just feeling like you're stuck. If this isn't another person or a situation, and this is you, like I don't want to say keeping yourself stuck, but like maybe something in life has gotten you to a place where you just feel stuck. And like a lot of things in our life we can control, but there's a lot that we can't. And sometimes we just end up being in a shitty place at wrong place at the wrong time. And it's hard to get ourselves unstuck from that situation. It doesn't mean that it's not hard or anything like that, but it, regardless of what has played out, we still need to at some point be able to get ourselves out of this situation. And I should say, a lot of messages that I get come through in any readings typically have like a dualistic nature, where not only are they for the person that's receiving them, i.e. you guys, but also for myself. And I feel like that's part of the reason why I'm able to deliver this message, is because I understand it. And any time I ever, in any reading, or not even a reading, people just say things to you, sometimes get a message like this, and it makes me like so angry, and I feel so unseen, because it's just like no acknowledgement of what I've experienced. And it's like that feeling is separate, that not feeling seen, not being validated, not being acknowledged, that still has to happen at some point. Like, that's, if it hasn't happened for you already, or you're not feeling that way, there's still something there. There's still something that needs to happen there to help us move on from that place, I think. Maybe that's part of what the getting unstuck is, because maybe it's not about like whether other people are going to acknowledge or validate or necessarily understand or see us or what has played out the way it has. Maybe it is just the fact that we're the only people sometimes in our lives that can do that for ourselves for a time or a season, until that does happen you know, with external confirmation. It is really sad. And I feel for you that, like, whatever has happened here feels terrible. It feels really heartbreaking. I don't want you to be disheartened by it, because there's so much more still left of your life. I'm sort of getting that message again, but it's this time it is saying that it's like the meet in the middle, and it's just like, you know, being that person in the middle of whatever is going on and happening around you. It can just be really tricky, because it might not directly have anything to do with you, but you end up getting caught in the crosshairs or the crossfire. Okay, that's what I'm getting for that card for this point. So I'll move on to the Page of Swords. I feel like you could be learning to conquer some sort of like mental activity here, but you just need to make sure you stay grounded, because we can still, when we're first learning, be accidentally unaware that some of it's still going on despite the work that we're doing. And when we do feel clear, we might not realize that there's still something affecting our view. And this is like no fault of anybody's. Don't take it, you know, as something that you've done wrong. You've got to be kind to yourself and just allow yourself the compassion to learn and develop as you go. So it's not where it's always going to be at. But for what I can say is that you seem to have beaten most of it. If you could imagine that these clouds are that mental activity, or literally fog, and this is the last little bit you have to go. So, you know, even though you might be surrounded by some of it, whether that's yourself or from other people or whatever the situation is, there's maybe like, you know, you've conquered most of it so far. So I would just not make any hasty moves at this stage. I would just try to take things a little bit slower before doing anything. So like refraining from impulse and haste. Okay, that's all I'm getting for that card so far. So we'll move on to the Judgment. Just getting something here about like the external validation coming through. Maybe you'll receive external validation through spirit as opposed to people. I mean, like readings are quite often, I didn't really understand when I was younger that readings had a healing quality to them. I only understood them from a, you know, like an almost two-dimensional perspective of someone telling your future or passing on a message for you. I didn't understand that the nature of it can be healing. And this does make me think of like you've been working on yourself, and at least if no one else will acknowledge anything, Spirit's there, Spirit sees, and Spirit does acknowledge. I'm not sure if this is like, there's a dual message coming through here, where you could be surrounded by a lot of people that actually are looking for some sort of external validation. And to be honest, if you're in the part of the world that I am, this is pretty normal. Like it's kind of hard to escape that. Okay, so I feel like that's all I can get out of these three at the moment for the tarot. So I'll move on to an oracle deck. I'll just move these up a little bit. No, they're going to stay center. Okay, so this is the Herbiary Oracle card deck by Maya Toll. Okay, so the first card we have is Ripple Outward, Self-Heal, which we were just talking about, so that's fantastic. The next card that I have is Clear the Way. Funny because I felt like I was about to say heal the way. So maybe the way of clearing the way is by like healing as you're going, and that will, sort of unlock that. And Sage. Take it as you will, whether you feel that you need to do some sort of like energy clearing, whether that's like a meditation, or if you look at the two together, maybe some sort of energy healing. I do Reiki. Other people do. If you do it yourself, fantastic. If you can find someone local, even better. I do feel called to point out the elements here. So you can see there's like the fire, wind or air, I guess air, water and earth. And typically the circle can be like ether or spirit, from my understanding. So, yeah. I'm getting a message here for this card that the proof is in the pudding. And there's something about this here. So this Ripple Outward card, there's an egg that looks like it's being dropped into water. Like it might not be an egg, it could be a pearl or something else, but to me right now, it's coming across as an egg. And there is something to be said about the ones that float and the ones that sink, and I don't know what it is. I'm not a very domesticated person by any means, so that may be something, if you don't already know what I'm talking about, Google the difference between eggs that float and sink, because this egg looks like it's sinking. But then there's also like a message about like healing waters. So I don't know if it's a case that the egg is necessarily sinking is a negative frame. It could be that the waters are quite healing, so maybe you really sink into like your self-healing journey here. I do have another message with this, is that sometimes when we're doing a lot of healing work, we don't realize, like when we're shedding all this stuff, that we need to, like, if anything, think of it this way. Although it can be perceived as like clearing stuff through the healing we're doing, which is true, and it's just a different, like facet of what we're talking about. But sometimes it could be like if you're doing self-healing work, you could be purging a lot of emotions, you could be purging old stories, purging old wounds, old hurts, purging a million things, purging self-limiting beliefs, all these things. You really, like, you are clearing them out, but sometimes that energy can still sort of be there or hang around a little bit, even though we've done the work. And we do need to be mindful to really like cleanse or purify ourselves afterwards. So that could be where literal burning of sage, like smudging, could be useful. You don't have to do that. You can go to the beach and swim in salt water. If you have a bathtub, you can put Epsom salts in the water and bath in that. You can do like chakra clearing meditations and all sorts of things to help clear out anything left over from purging. Sometimes it's just like cleansing or clearing out any heavy energy that's been left over from the purging, because maybe although we did some great self-healing work purging something, maybe just that act has brought about heavy energy because of the process we had to go through to be able to do that. I do have to say, at this point in the reading, I do feel more clear-minded than I did at the start. But to be mindful to stay grounded. Yeah, I don't know. Every reading I have is for people to stay grounded. But do you know what? I also have a lot of trouble grounding, whether you do or not, and so it doesn't surprise me that I align with people that would also have trouble staying grounded, or that need it in this point in their journey. I am also getting a message about this point. What used to be stuck, this self-healing will help like free that being stuck. So if you hadn't got something like that till this point, there it is. I am getting something here about the feathers and a feeling of being consumed. They're just saying or acknowledging that you've done everything that you could have done at this point, and that it's time to accept that. And you need to be your own source of validation. Okay, that's perfect. Okay guys, that's everything that I had for this group. Thank you for being with me for today's reading. I hope that it resonated and was helpful in some way. If it's not, like, you're always welcome to check in with another group and see if they resonate more. But also there was that message at the start too of you might not be in a place where this message is going to be like make sense right now. So if it doesn't, you can come back in a couple of days or a week or at some point in the future. All my readings are timeless. You can come back and you can try again, and you may pick a different pile, you may pick the same one, and you may get different messages out of that same reading than what you did the first time, or they may resonate with you more at that point in time. Cool. With that all said, yeah, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video. Enjoy your day.